Okay, today we're going to be discussing solving equations. So a lot of this is review for you, so it shouldn't be too difficult. By the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to solve equations, and you're going to solve problems by writing equations. First of all, let's do our warm-up. This is good practice and gets our mathematical minds ready for a new lesson. So pause the video, work the problems, and then come back and check your answers. The first one's fairly simple. All you have to do is combine your like terms. This one's a little bit more difficult because you have to find a common denominator for this one. So negative 3 over 3q, so that's going to make that a negative p minus 2q to the third. Actually, this should be negative 2p over the 3. And then finally, we've got parentheses, so we're going to have to distribute first across the parentheses. Negative 8 minus 2b plus 4b minus 20. Then we combine our like terms. This one, we're simply going to distribute this minus sign across these, and that was going to make that negative m plus k. So our final answer, 2k minus 2m. Okay, I want you to pause the video and fill in the key concepts in your notes. So here we're defining reflexive, symmetric, transitive, substitution, addition, subtraction, and multiplication, division. Let's begin by solving some equations, and then we're to check our answers. So what do we do here first? What are we solving for? Of course, we're solving for n, right? So if we subtract 18 from both sides, we end up with negative n is equal to negative 8, and we will multiply both sides by negative 1, so n is equal to 8, because we're solving for n, not negative n. Here we simply need to divide. We undo this multiplication that's happening here and divide both sides by 3.5. Since the largest variable, the coefficient with the variable is positive, I'm going to add w to both sides, so 3w, add 1 to both sides, 6. When we divide both sides by 3, w is equal to 2. And we'll subtract 2x from both sides, add 0, but whenever you have 0 divided by any number, your answer is 0. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? Let's solve each equation and check your answers. If you want a little bit of a challenge, then pause the video and work the problems and just simply come back and check your answers. Okay, of course, the first thing we're going to do is take care of these parentheses. So we're going to distribute the 2 across this set and this 2 across this set. We will combine our like terms, subtract 14 from both sides, and then divide both sides by 4 and simplify. 10 over 4 is not in its simplest format. How about this one? We're going to subtract 5z from both sides. Now we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. And next, divide both sides by 3. What have we got to do here first? Notice we've got parentheses. So we're going to distribute the negative 6 across the parentheses. We've got like terms on the same side of the equal sign, so we're going to combine those. Add 66 to both sides. Divide both sides by 19. Very good. Finally, distribute the 2 across the parentheses. Add 10k to both sides, add 7 to both sides, and then divide both sides by 20. There are other key concepts with this lesson. Identity means that an equation that is true for every value of the variable, and then there's a literal equation. It's an equation that uses at least 2 letters as variables, and we can solve for any variable in terms of the other variables. So like when there's an x and a y, or an a and a b in one equation. Let's see what that looks like. We are to determine whether the equation is sometimes, always, or never true. So let's begin by solving for x. So we're going to add 5 to both sides and then divide both sides by 3. So this is sometimes true. Only when x is equal to 1 will this equation be true. If x is anything other than 1, it will not always be true. So it's only sometimes true. Let's solve this one. Well, if we subtract 2x from both sides, look, our x vanishes. Is negative 3 ever equal to 5? No. So this one will never be true. So let's distribute the 3 across the parentheses. We're going to combine our like terms. That leaves us with negative 6 is equal to negative 6. Is negative 6 equal to negative 6? Always. So this one will always be true. And finally, now we're going to solve each formula for the indicated variable. They're wanting us to solve this one for x. Okay, so our whole goal is to try to get x by itself. Well, the first thing I see is we need to add 3 to both sides. Now, both of these terms have an x in them, but they're not like terms. We can't combine them. But we can factor an x out. And now we've got an x multiplied by a plus b, so we simply divide both sides by a plus b. Now they're wanting us to solve this for h, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that fraction. So if we multiply both sides by 3, then that gets rid of the fraction. Now we've got to get rid of the pi r squared. So if we divide both sides by pi r squared, we end up with h is equal to 3v over pi r squared. Excellent. You're ready to begin working on the assignment.